LP came up with the campaign LP Your Kit. Let's find out what's behind this. A common thing to do for drummers is to think in either percussion instruments or drum set instruments. But what this campaign LP Your Kit, that Latin percussion brought to life, is all about is to show you that you can cross those borders and instruments like bongos or conga can be part of your drum kit setup. And this video is here to show you some of the options you have and some of the sound colors you can bring into your drum set playing. And not only does it open up the variety of sounds you can use, it also triggers your creativity. So when you sit down behind this kit that looks not like a regular drum kit, I mean it's a lot of stuff put into here. But the things you will play and the stuff you will come up with really derives from the instruments and the sounds you have. So you're gonna play different things. What I want to do in this video is just break down this setup, show you what I have here, what instruments I use, what some small ideas with those instruments could be, and just to give you an overview so you can come up with your own version of this LP Your Kit campaign. The first three categories of percussion instruments you usually think about when thinking of percussion instruments on the drum kit are tambourines, cowbells, and wood blocks or jam blocks. So let's start with those. First up, tambourines. And they come in all sorts of different sizes, colors, and also a lot of varieties of the ways you use them. So right here, I have 3 options installed and another one down here. Let's just quickly go through those. Here I have the classic, when it comes to drum kit playing, Cyclops mounted tambourine. This one has the dimpled brass bells. They come with different bells. They sound a little different. Those have a little darker sound. If you want a brighter sound, maybe check out another one. Up here is the LP Click HiHat tambourine. And one very cool thing about this little guy is that you can turn the effect on and off just by pressing this button on top here. So just to show you what I mean. And you can do this while playing. Of course you can play it as hi-hat played with your foot, but you could also just play it up here as an additional tambourine. So 2 options. Another pretty cool one that is especially designed for drum kit use is the TamboRing. They also come with different bells and also a different bottom plate material. So this one is the solid aluminum or steel plate. There are also some that are flexible, more like a plastic film. Just go back and forth and try out which one suits your need most. But what it does is, it gives you that, for example, if you have a ballad snare and you want a tambourine hit with the snare, and you don't want to use 2 hands to do so, you have this as your snare sound. Let's compare it with and without. Definitely something that changes your snare sound, and for example, if you have a very low tuned snare, this might just add some brightness to it. A product that I really like because also it's very easy to put on and take off. Another thing they came up with, what's pretty cool and very good to use on a drum kit, is the Tambo Stick. What it does is, it lets you play tambourine-like patterns while you play the drums. So for example, if you use it on your hi-hat side, you get this shaker-like feel to it. Let me just quickly play a groove with a regular stick and then with the Tambo Stick. Also a pretty cool little gadget that you can just have in your stick bag next to you, and whenever you need this effect, pop, get it out, play it, and you add a little more texture to what you're playing already. So with all those combined, you can do stuff like this, for example. Of course, it might be a little overkill to use all four at the same time, but where you use them and which ones is totally up to you and what you need in a certain musical application situation. But just so you know, there's a lot of things to choose from only with tambourines. Now, the second group that's very common to use on a drum kit are cowbells. And I really don't need to talk much about cowbells because you all know what cowbells are and how they sound. And only thing, if you get a mountable cowbell, so one that has this little mount on the back, it's very easy to place them everywhere, just as with the Cyclops tambourine. And easy thing, smaller cowbell, higher tone, larger one, lower tone. LP has ones with this stick guard thingy here that just will prevent your stick from damaging the cowbell and the other way around. So just to give you an idea, a little cowbell groove. Of course, classic things like, you know the song? Post it in the comments and also check out our recreation for this song. Now, the next category are wood blocks or jam blocks. And you could play wood blocks, but the usual thing to play on a drum kit are jam blocks. I got one down here with this little kick pedal mount with this bracket. It's the new designed version. They really did great in coming up with a new version of it. And a cool thing about this is that you now can incorporate your left foot and play, for example, ostinato or whatever. And it's really loud. So let me just quickly try to play a groove for you. Of course, you can use this mount to mount a cowbell down there, or also a tambourine if you want to, for example, layer a tambourine sound on your snare and you don't want to use the second hand, you can also use your left foot. That's a very mighty tool to place percussion instruments on your kit. Now, those three categories are like the main go-to thingies. And now everything that's happening out here is more the special stuff. Let's maybe just start on this side where we have the Havana Cafe bongos up here and the compact conga down here. And of course, you could play them with your hands. Quinto and the bongos, but since we have synthetic hats on and not natural hats, you can also play them with your sticks without having to care too much about damaging the drum head. So you could use them, for example, I see a lot of guys now playing them as sort of additional tom. So for example, tom feels like, or you can just use them to throw some hits into a groove and just have a different sound. Once again, a few grooves where I just throw them in at some points. Now, of course, those are tunable and you could have them in different pitches, playing different notes. For example, if you want to have them as replacement for some 808 sounds or whatever electronic drum sounds you would usually have on a pad, this might also be a cool way of playing acoustic instruments that sound kind of like the electronic sounds. So yeah, and it's more fun to play a real drum that has a real sound. For me, it is. If you're not keeping track of all the instruments we've used, you can find a full list of all the percussion instruments and also the drums, this beautiful design series set by DW. You will find all the information in the description below. Now let's go on to the left side. And that's also, those 3 drums are a lot of fun. And maybe before I talk too much about them and what they are, just an idea, I talked about electronic drums. Right here, this is kind of my trap setup. So let me just demonstrate you what I mean by that. So as you can see, sometimes those things also sound a lot different from what they look like. And so what we have here is the Stanton Pandeiro. This is just a great instrument. It gives you this very bassy sound. It almost sounds like a gong tom. And it's a very small instrument. You can have it with you. You could just carry it in your snare case on top of your snare. And if you place a mic underneath it, this is a really mighty sound. Of course, you can play it as a kick drum, but also in a groove context like. Very cool addition to your drum kit. You should get one. Second thing here is this micro snare. They come in 6 inches and 8 inches. I think this is the 8-inch model. And this works great if you, for example, want to mimic a marching snare sound like they often do in modern pop productions. And you can also, if you turn the snares off, you get an open sound that you can use, for example, as a high tom sound, or if you want to mimic a timbale-like sound. Very cool instrument as well. Pretty small, and for example here I've just used one of those little percussion mounts, and the micro snare also has one of those mounts like Cowbells or the Tambourine. So you could place it wherever you want. It's very easy to place, pretty small. You could always pack it and bring it with you. And also, if you, for example, decide to muffle it, put stuff on there, you have more options. So pretty cool small instrument and a very interesting sound to add that you'd usually not have with a regular drum kit. Also, I now placed the TamboRing on the tom, just as a side note. Might also be an interesting sound to look into. The last drum I haven't talked about yet is this 13-inch drum set Timbale. And it's the steel version. They have different versions of this, also different sizes, so if you want to have a set, you could also get one. But of course, classical way to use them on a drum kit would be for reggae. Cool thing about those is they have usual drum key screws, so you can just tune them up and down with your drum key. And once again, this is a timbale that has the timbale sound, but of course you can do whatever you want with it. So if you decide to place a splash cymbal on top of it, or have some small bells around, or whatever sounds you want to create, this is also a very cool option to do so. Now that we've talked about all the individual instruments, it's just a lot of fun to play here and to sit here and just to let the sounds that you get when you hit somewhere just drive your creativity and make you create your own world of sounds. Now, what other percussion instruments do you think you could or should add to a drum kit? Which ones do you use on your own setup? And what of those ideas are new to you, and which ones do you dig, which ones don't you like? Whatever you want to tell us, just write it in the comments, leave a like, subscribe to our channel, and yeah, I just hope to see you in one of the next videos. And I guess now I'm just gonna play a little more.